Hi, welcome to Inside the Moms Club, where being a mom is the coolest place to be. Here in the Moms Club, we believe that what embarrasses you now will make a great story later. And let's face it, you don't laugh sometimes, you're gonna cry. Join us in having a good laugh together. I'm Monica Samuels. You are now inside the Moms Club, your private destination for all things mom. Welcome, moms. Welcome to Inside the Moms Club. I'm your host, Monica Samuels, and I'm here today with my lovely co-host, Julie Orchid. Hello, Julie.
Hi, how are you?
I am terrific. You know what? Our show is absolutely blowing up.
Yeah, it's super exciting.
Super exciting. We are talking about possible. Well, I don't want to get too much into all the real exciting stuff.
All right. You always save the last for me anyway. So yes, go ahead. I'm listening.
Yes, I told Julie last night. I was supposed to tell her she has like this major new job as part of the Moms Club, but I had forgotten to mention it to her. So our producer just on the side said, "Did Monica tell you that you're now like, no, not yet." So, but thankfully you accepted.
Yeah, we have a few Zoomer moms on this show that know how I feel about being in charge of stuff. So
yeah. Well, it's going to be great. But so many exciting things are happening, and you know what else? Stuff.
Give up the goods, girl. What is this?
So this is Pippa.
Ooh, what a cute box! Can you show it?
It's skincare for here's the box. This is the logo and everything. It's skincare for tweens. And you know what? I think that's great because
my daughter's eyes just went, what?
Well, you know, because in your tween years, that's when kids are just, well, first of all, at that point, they're even learning to wash their face. I mean, that's a exciting thing. So if you make it fun for them, plus they see results.
Okay, what's in the box? Tell me what's in the box.
There is a
moisturizer.
Smooth Operator. Moisturizer.
Got a little Sade here.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's just an old joke because I'm old. Yeah.
And then this, we haven't opened this.
Okay, that's all right. What is?
And this is the foaming cleanser. Ooh, squeaky clean. You know what? I might actually use this myself.
Forget about it.
Because you know how I feel about cleanliness.
All right.
Having clean. And this I love. Now see.
Oh, that's really
cute. This is so me.
I should put that on. You would actually wear that. Yeah.
No, they've got some great.
And they got some stickers in there.
They've got stickers. Yeah, all kinds of cool stuff. This is really cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Well, thank you.
I have one child that would be using this and never come out of the bathroom. We vacation with 2 bathrooms. Absolutely never again will we ever vacation with 1 bathroom. That is because of products like that.
About her 2 or 3 hour skincare regimen.
It's outrageous.
Yeah. But this is where it starts when they're tweens. And
absolutely. What a great product.
This is the starter kit for someone like Emmy.
Do we know who's in charge or who makes Pippa?
I think Pippa makes Pippa.
Pippa makes Pippa?
What I understand.
Great. Yeah. It's a, amazing product.
We are going to
had a little sample myself.
We have an exciting, fun show today, and a lot of it has to do with the childcare industry.
Ooh.
So I was just trying. So I'm going to share my most memorable childcare experience. But then I want to hear yours real quick before we bring in our guest.
Okay. I mean, my kids are alive. That's all I'm going to say.
So we had a company in Austin called Mom's Best Friend. I don't know if it still exists or not, but I always believed in contacting someone who I knew had vetted the people who were going to stay with my children. So I called Mom's Best Friend. Jared was 2, and I had them come for a babysitting thing. So this girl shows up. I open the door, and I thought that she was at the wrong house, that perhaps that the motorcycle gang down the street was where she really wanted to be.
Maybe she didn't look like you thought she was going to look like.
Yeah, tattoos and a nose ring and everything.
The chain from here to here.
And so I thought, now, you don't judge a book by its cover. So she had been vetted. She was part of it. So, but we were running late on time. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to trust that this is going to be okay. So we spend our evening. I come back home, and I'm there to sign a little form for her. And she said, Mrs. Samuels, can I speak to you alone? I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? So we go in the other room, and she said, your son, who was 2, used a word. He used the F word. I was like, oh my gosh. So I was then embarrassed myself. I'm like, this poor girl thinks who is this woman? What is she raising here? It's like a foul-mouthed little kid.
I mean,
so that was I never forgot that whole experience. So what was your most memorable experience with childcare?
Okay, so mine was a little bit of a wild ride. When the children were young, I was studying to become a nurse, and my dad was always willing to step in. In fact, he has a ringer on his phone, and when it goes off and I would call, it goes, "Julie needs a nanny. Julie needs a nanny." And so how he found that ringer, I don't know, but I was blessed beyond words to have my parents, but not always. So one day I hired this girl, and I couldn't honestly tell you that I vetted her very well. Georgia will tell you. Maybe she's been with some randos, but I will say that in comes this babysitter, and the kids loved her dearly. And the first one she opened up her little makeup bag to show her, and out popped a sugar glider. If anybody knows what that is, it's an animal. So that was a very popular babysitter for my children. But honestly, the second babysitter, because an animal is involved, it's small, it's tiny. But my second babysitter was a lady called Mimi. And I happened to just fall into her. She lived down the street, and she was the best and loved my kids dearly. She has passed, and they have great memories of her. And I think that Georgia Kay will let you know about her. But my kids have been everywhere, every daycare, every drop-in daycare, everything. So I've done the full gamut because I had to.
Well, we have too, actually. And so on the same child, when he was 4, we went on the Disney cruise.
Yeah.
And we thought we had it all worked out because we thought, oh, this is going to be great because there's this adult section. We go to the adult pool. There's Well, he's at the kids club.
Right.
Well, I took him over there.
Did he? He didn't get kicked out, did he?
No, he didn't get kicked out.
Just checking.
He did not want to go, and there was no way to get him in that. I mean, it would have been. I would have had to force them to kidnap him.
Do you think that he wouldn't think it was fun?
Nothing could convince him it was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, kids are playing. There's video games. Look, Jared. Look at those kids. They're singing over there. They look like they're having a great time. Mickey Mouse is over there.
Mickey Mouse is over there. Why would you not want to go
over there? So, yeah. So, you got kids are individuals.
Do you want me to tell the story how I met you?
Well, if you must. But
she has a special nanny, and I was new at the school, and this sweet lady had this cute little license plate, and it said what?
I did not make the license plate. My husband got a license plate. He was so excited. It said Nanny 1.
And I was like, oh boy, who is this lady? Yeah.
And so the lady that was our nanny and helped, I felt like, it's like, really seriously, Mark, she's not going to drive around in something that says Nanny 1. She finally embraced it. But then I felt weird because when I would drive that car, I don't know why I felt like I needed to tell people
about it.
I'm not the nanny. I'm
actually the mom.
Wrong with that. Yeah, I'm the mom.
But there's many ways to get help, yes, Monica. She was the best. She popped the trunk and out came the snacks.
She was like Mary Poppins.
She sure was.
I'm not kidding. One day the head of the middle school said, you realize that whenever she comes here, all the kids flock to your car. And that's because my son would take drink orders for all of his friends. She would go get it, come pull up first one in line, stand there and hand out drinks.
Yeah.
To everybody.
Anyway, so I think the point is we all have different stories about babysitters.
Well, let's get right into it because we have an expert here on the whole child care scene.
I can't wait. This is an incredible,
exciting
idea.
She is the founder behind the award-winning premium child care brand called Itavi. She is the mother of 3, and in 2019 she created this company to fill what she saw was a void in the child care industry. Please welcome Ayana Rodriguez. Welcome to the Moms Club.
Yes.
Well, listening to our stories, I think you can see there is a void occasionally in the child care. There's good things and there's not so good things, and so it's, as a parent, it's finding the right mix for your child. And now tell us a little bit about your company. It started in hospitality, correct? Just share with us what Itavi is.
Absolutely, Monica. First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's a true honor to be here today with you and the Zoom moms. So itavi, I'm just going to back up a little bit. Itavi is the acronym for It Takes a Village, because we truly believe it takes a village in raising children. So we named the company Itavi. And, in listening to your experiences in childcare, and thank you for sharing that, because as a mom of three, we all have these stories, and some of them, the motorcycle sitter who showed up, and, all these different stories that now we can laugh about. I also, as you mentioned, know that there are some stories that people don't laugh about because it can be a little daunting, fearful to introduce somebody who you have no idea. I think Lisa mentioned she wasn't sure who she vetted or not vetted. It's such a process, and we're so busy as moms. What does that look like? What does the standard look like? Well, who should I let in my doors and not let in? I need to go somewhere, and time is of essence. So we don't think about really, which is kind of crazy when you take a step back, our most prized possession, our children, and we don't really have a standard for what that should look like, right? And in comes itavi, as you mentioned, in 2019. The intentions and where itavi comes from, as you mentioned, a mom of three, I knew there had to be a better approach to how we resolve childcare. In the market, a lot of the other companies, they're really connectors. That's what they are. The largest one really became, I don't know if you ever remember Craigslist, but it basically is Craigslist with the niche of childcare. Nobody takes accountability. Nobody there. If something goes wrong, who do you call? Right?
Yeah.
How do you resolve? How do you know that person even knows the best results to resolve? You don't. So itavi, really the intentions were, I knew there had to be a better approach from my experiences in childcare. And I knew that I wanted a company that was just more than a connector. And a connector is really about the bottom line, which is money. That's not an intention for me when it comes from my children as my most prized possession. I want to know there's a face, there's a name, there's accountability. If I have a situation, there's somebody I can call. Not I'm going to be thrown into a loop, or days later, maybe somehow get in touch with somebody. And so we really decided on how to implement all of what we saw not existed in the market to ensure what standards should look like, to put a face, to put a checklist. I think Lisa said, well, my kids are alive. Well, that's not really a standard either, right? I mean, and everybody has that. As long as the house is still standing when I get back home, we're good. Where does that come from? No, it should be, I want my kids to be engaged. I want them to have a positive experience. I want them to connect with somebody. I want them to feel and experience something better than when I left the space, or that childcare professional to enhance the situation so that they're better when they leave the space than when we entered the space. And those are all really critical process ingredients and tools that we incorporate in what is itavi. And again, because it takes a village, and we were a village. If you think about it, how childcare was back in the day, you lived in this area, and Lisa was lucky enough to have her mom and her dad help her. That's the way it was. We had our aunts, we had our cousins, all as a family, our village. Well, women go to work, we move to cities. That village doesn't exist anymore. And that's where you get the motorcycle. And I'm sure she was great.
Oh,
so
she was actually lovely. That turned out, I was the one that was embarrassed.
Yeah, but you don't know. And that's where that came from.
So where is itavi mostly? I mean, are you doing it mostly in resorts? Is it, you can do it private? How does it work?
That's a great question. So we launched in the hospitality space, identifying that there is a tremendous need for hotel organizations. Guests are always traveling, and we launched right before COVID.
Yeah.
And since COVID, we've seen an uptick in families, traveling families and junior guests experiencing hotel organizations and being with their families. So with that said, it's very challenging for when you don't know on the ground, maybe a friend of a friend. But to know what that trust looks like. It's very hard to navigate because we all love providing experiences for our children and bringing them with us on trips. But we also know sometimes when you're spending a lot of money on a vacation, you'd like to just go to dinner and not say, please leave your sister alone. Please stop doing that, because those nuances come with you. They don't stop because it's a gorgeous, hotel.
Right. Exactly. I loved what you had to say. I mean, the one thing that stuck out for me about your company and what you're trying to do is that really you stated the obvious. We are not meant to be parents 24/7. It almost seems impossible to, and we think we should be. But so your service provides the relief that some of the parents need. So
in the hospitality space, so they have kids clubs, or like what I was describing, Disney has their own thing that they do. Do you go to a hotel and say, I would like to set up your kids club? Or do they know it's itavi is how does that work with the hotel?
So it's interesting. It's been a long road, 5 years in, and it's still longer to go. Sure. I know. But it's interesting how, as an environment, when it comes to revenue and when, corporate space, children and childcare is still, not to use this word but it's not an important driving factor, right? It hasn't been in the past. As COVID, and as I mentioned, more junior guests visiting, the whole idea of curating the experience for junior guests is becoming more relevant and more important. And I like to say to our hotel partners, you want to create generational travelers, because you know what? Picking up a t-shirt as a souvenir is great, but you're not going to save that in the memory bank. What you're going to save in the memories bank is, oh my gosh, I had the best time at Aquilina Hotel. I want to bring my children here because I had this experience. That's what stays with you.
Yeah,
and
true.
For families, they want to come back because they know their children, unlike your son who didn't want to stay in the kids club, because hotels need that, because what are you going to do? You're going to go to the spa, generate more revenue there. You're going to order drinks at the pool and have Mai Tais and have the best time, right?
Right.
So there's other ways for the hotel to really capitalize on that free time that you have where you're not parenting. So we need children to want to come back. We want them to stay. So the hotels have really listened and adopted, and we've really proven to be partners in what you mentioned, managing and operate kids clubs. And it's all of our programming. It's our team, which I differentiate between babysitters and childcare professionals. A babysitter, could be my 15-year-old daughter.
Sure.
And she's great, but it could be. Childcare professionals come to the table, vetted, CPR trained, with the experience of childcare resolve, because you want to know how to engage a child. You want somebody who knows how to, if that what if moment, and maybe it's not going to happen, but be able to resolve. And just really tick boxes to provide a fulfilling experience that the child not only is having fun, but there's tangible tools. So for us, how we do that is through our programming, and we call it the itavi method. Why? Because an engaged child is less likely to be running around and chaos to ensue, right?
True.
So we really believe in engaging programming. We have a programming director that every vertical that we are in a hotel space, whether that's the kids clubs, as I mentioned, the guests needing a childcare because they want to go to dinner, so that's private. We also operate family engagement during peak occupancy times, which means when there's like Easter. So it's all of our programming, and we have fun activities in the hotel common area for families, an Easter egg hunt, or however the holiday, the season may be, as well as engaging activities. So we find that programming is a key way to engage children, and we call it backdoor learning, because who wants to learn when they're on vacation? But working on fine motor skills, really tangible, something, again, a takeaway.
Yeah.
So that way everybody feels fulfilled that enters the ecosystem. And, the parents are like, oh, what'd you do? Oh, I did this. There's something to show for it. I didn't just watch a video game that I could do. I give my daughter, the iPad all the time. 2 summers ago, I was so busy building this. She was at Camp iPad all summer. But that was my prerogative. I don't want to pay somebody to give them the iPad and just watch them on the iPad. No offense to the iPad, but that's not, to me, an experience.
Yeah.
So that's what we do, and it's a unique approach, and we're really excited to have been able to scale, in South Florida, Boca Raton, Fort Lauderdale, Pier 66. We also launched in Hawaii.
Nice.
At some tremendous partners there in Maui, and we have a lot in the pipeline, which is super exciting. And just really, as a mom, an entrepreneur, the challenges and the process in which, and I was speaking about this before we jumped on, I believe that being a mom really helped me to be a better entrepreneur and also a better manager and understanding people and the mobility of our childcare professionals and really understanding the value and the goals and how to resolve for all the stakeholders. So I have a lot of stakeholders in our business.
Yeah. So did this goal come from you needing or going somewhere? You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden a light bulb came off that you were like, oh, this is a much needed service, a different type of service. Tell me in a couple words, like how suddenly that popped for you.
I wish I could say it was just like a light bulb, but I don't think light bulbs don't.
Well, you know what I mean, like as far as in the interest of time. With time and the experience of having children and traveling and saying, I can't trust anybody. Maybe I'm in a foreign place. I can't even speak the language. How do I translate? Or even in New York, and, I don't know. Is it worth 4 hours of my fun to maybe not have a really great experience for my children, So that was what was leading. And then with my last, it really came together on a really long flight. And I read this book called The Go-Getter. And I highly recommend this book. And it just aligned. So to your point, the light bulb was how to align this process and create something out of something that I really identified in the market that was needed. With a different approach. It exists, but I knew that the approach had to shift in order to almost adjust that concept as long as the house is still standing. And our goal is to be in the neighborhoods at a version of this. We just need more growth in order to get to that point.
You said something earlier that reminded me. So I wrote a book years ago called Comeback Moms, and part of it was we have a lot of skills that we bring to the table if we exit from the workforce for a little while or partly, we bring so much more back when we re-enter it, because a mom is a great multitasker, people person. I mean, there's all of that. So you brought all of that to what you're doing now by being a mother. But what gave you it's one thing to have an idea, but what made you pursue it? Like what was the driving factor? Now I'm going to start a business plan, or what was the next steps in
the tangible parts of it?
Happen, because not a lot of moms come up with great ideas and they never happen. So
and it's here's what back to this village. We all have a village, whether it's our friends. I always say people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I think it's really important to identify your own village. And if you come up with an idea, to tap in who might know finance, who might know how to help me put together and formulate my ideas and concepts into almost like a structure that I can start from day one. And if your friend doesn't know somebody, chances are they know somebody who knows somebody who they can connect you with. So I always suggest for moms, for women who are entertaining a concept or idea, to really lean in to your own village, your own network, because I do believe we are so supportive of one another and we do have the resources. We just have to, A, have the confidence to ask, and B, if we're not quite sure what that concept is, I have this general idea. I'm not sure how to really package it, but here's what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts?
Nice.
And then it starts to formulate.
Yeah.
Then you have a day one. Day one leads to day two.
Yeah.
And you have to keep on It's day by day. You have to stack the days to get to the years, to get to the months, to get to the years. And believe me, it's consistency and leaning in to your village that wins.
Well, you're extremely inspiring. I will say that for, to listen to that. I love that. I think you've kind of given me an idea. I just came off a spring break with a bunch of teenagers, and we could launch a holy heck hour, maybe we could call it, for people that, because if you're going to Mexico, they're of age, and
Make a note of that, Ayana, because I'm talking to these moms that just came back from spring break with their kids. These spring break trips, they do need like a little downtime. So maybe Itavi can have something for the teens. Take them away to do
you never know.
While their moms are busy.
Yeah,
you never know.
This is really.
Teens are harder to entertain because nowadays, I know our sweet spot, but and I have teens myself, so I'm all the hats off. I haven't quite really cracked the nut on that formula yet, but when I do, I'll let you all.
I love what you have going on, and I love the name, because the name I've always relied on. I have, my good friend Lisa is on the show today, and she knows that we've done this since kindergarten, and it takes a village for sure. So anyway.
Absolutely. Well, what is your competition? I mean, you survived COVID, like you started right before COVID.
Yeah.
So, and the competition, I mean, I think there's a big big market there for you. I totally all the travel. But then some of the competition, like we used to take our kids to the Breakers in Palm Beach, which is super expensive. So that's an issue. But they have an amazing kids program that my kids did love to come back because they
had a good time.
They had it all. Yeah, it was built into the whole trip. So how did you weather COVID and keep on going? Did you ever stop and say, I don't know if this is going to work out, but you persevered, or was it not so bad?
Maybe kind of a start over after COVID. I don't
know. That's a great question. And to be honest, so we launched in November of 2019. I had been working on what it should look like and how to implement it for a year prior. And when we finally launched in market, it was November of 2019. That's not very long before March of 2020, right? So I hadn't really developed traction. I had one or two hotel partners that were just signed the dotted line. COVID happens, and I live in Florida. I don't know if everybody remembers, but during COVID, Florida stayed open for the most part. And so we were closed for a little bit, but we had a tremendous influx of visitors. So other companies that maybe had not the ability to, and this is a word that is so overused, but I'm going to use it right now, pivot. I didn't have all of that overhead. I was making the decisions. I didn't have to go through 10 people to figure it out. I was like, this is what they're telling us. Let's go. Yeah. Right. So we were able to go, and we were able to, at our first hotel partner that adopted our kids club was the one hotel. Why? I think they were closed for like maybe 4 days.
Yeah.
And they had such an influx of New Yorkers, because people were coming here because it was open and they had to get out, right? And restaurants were kind of open. And that's politics. So that's a whole nother conversation. So we're not going to get into that. But anyway, it worked for itavi. So we were able to really implement all the new protocols. We were able to launch a kids club in the height of this. And that really is so for us, I don't know. I know it's crazy, but
that's okay. We want the truth.
That's
we want the
interesting
truth.
because that shows
it was really an advantage point for us.
Circumstances can change. Well, Ayana, we have some moms who would like to ask you, and one daughter, who would like to ask you some questions. So welcome, Zoomer Moms. Welcome to the Moms Club. So ladies, I'm just going to go and introduce each of you. Tell us your full name, where you're from, and do you have a question for Ayana? And we'll start with Kim. Welcome to the Moms Club.
Hey. Ayana is so incredibly inspiring, your whole story, and just wow, how lucky you were with COVID too. That's like I feel like there was always COVID winners and COVID losers, and you're definitely a winner.
Yeah, thank you.
I have 2 kids, and like I want to take them to one of these hotels where they can go and be in your place. I guess my question is a little bit more about itavi. What's the kid ratio in the centers? Like how many, what's the kid ratio? And then what educational things are they doing there? What ages are you watching? That's, for those kind of.
Those are really great questions. And I see your little one. So I love those moments. So I'm feeling that my womb is like pumping right now as I see it. And it's just sleeping. So
then they get this age and
right. I know that. Yeah. So our ratio is 1 to 6, and we really do follow state guidelines when it comes to adult or childcare professional to children ratio. We don't currently have a brick and mortar. We will in 2027. We're working on a project in the pipeline. However, our hotel partners, so it's on their properties, right? So the space is in their property, and we're a third party. We come in, our team, our programming, but the guests might not know it's itavi, right? We're really seamlessly blended in because we adopt the ethos and the culture of our hotel partners, because every hotel has its own way of doing things and what they'd like to promote. So our ratio is 1 to 6. Our ages are 4 to 12. And there's a reason to that. One is we really want the children potty trained and comfortably potty trained, and also really have the separation experience by already being in school versus us calling and saying, Susie really misses you, because then it affects the energy of the rest of the children. We really want to have fun with all the children that are there. Totally. So we do 4 to 12. And when families want younger, then they will bring us in for private care, because we start with children as young as 3 months old, actually. We have really tremendous experienced childcare professionals. And then for education, which was the third, I think that was a great, we incorporate STEM, we incorporate the local culture. For example, in Miami, Spanish is a big part of where we are in Miami. Also, like some of the dance, like salsa dancing. So we might do a little bit of that. We really focus on sustainability, because I think that is really important. So we incorporate materials that are sustainable, that the children are working with, and incorporate that in a fun way. A lot of, hand-eye coordination and fine motor skills development is really important. And they don't know that they're developing this, but it's by process of the activities that we do. We incorporate breath work, yoga. We have a lot of children who are traveling internationally, so we want to help them reset. It's a lot to travel at such a young age. When you're coming from so far away, it's a lot for the families, it's a lot for the children. It's just a lot. So we incorporate a lot of different tools that we might practice in our programming to make sure that the children have a sense of balance. And also it's new time zone. There's so many different nuances that we really incorporate in our programming.
So
wow,
so do you ever let the parents?
Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Do the parents ever get to join in? Like, I'm really bad at yoga, but I think if I was in a class with 12-year-olds, I might feel more.
You might actually feel like you're winning.
I could actually enjoy. Lisa, welcome to the Moms Club. Tell us your full name, where you're from, and do you have a question?
Hi, so I'm Lisa Tully, and I am currently living in Crested Butte, Colorado, but I'm originally from Austin, and that's where Julie and I know each other from, and we have kids. Our youngest daughters are both the same age, seniors this year. And this is my kids are beyond needing this service, but wow, we traveled a lot when they were young, and I would have loved to have been in a hotel that had some kind of programming like this, because you're spot on that. You want to go out to dinner with your husband and you're terrified of leaving your kids with a total stranger. So I would love to know, how do you court the hotels? Like, how do you get them to come around to having you guys take over their children's programming?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
That's a great question. And I wish I could say it's like, hey, we're so great. Come adopt itavi. No. We deal with large organizations such as Hilton, Marriott's, we're with a Blackstone property, and the risk management is real. Yeah. It took us a year and a half just to get through risk management with a Hilton property. So to your question, it's a process. It's through this department and the insurances and the agreement. And so it's really multifaceted, but here's like anything else in a process. Once you have a framework, you can say, here's our framework, and you start to, the time that it takes can start to, be a little bit swifter. And again, remember, most hotels never really partnered with a company such as itavi in the past. They would do it in-house. So this is new for a lot of hospitality organizations. However, they're also seeing the value as there's a lot of stuff going on, wages are really high, payroll, and also they wouldn't have a dedicated team. They might have somebody who might also do housekeeping, might come in to run their kids club. It's a mix, right? And you don't maybe get the best results when you're not dedicated and also have a sense of people who really enjoy taking care of other people's kids, because that's not a given all the time, right? A body is a body versus somebody who has the experience and the passion to be there is very different. So we have learned to walk the walk with hospitality, understand what their needs are, and also what their pain points are in order to figure out how to resolve and partner with them. Yeah. So I hope that gives that answer. And we're still learning.
How can a parent find out that they're taking their child to an itavi property? Because they see I've seen your program online. Yeah. It's very thought out, well curated product. Is there a way, does it say this Hilton has it's itavi, or is it?
You know what? That's a really, I would tell them you want itavi, and then they'll start to, I'll make sure we're there. But most hotels we have on our website, there are hotels that are listed. Majority of those hotels, either they have a kids club or they're partnered with us. Okay. So we offer their one-to-one. A lot of hotels don't have the dedicated space for a child permanent kids club. So, oftentimes those hotels, we offer family programming, as I mentioned earlier, during peak times, so that the children are engaged, but it's not a dedicated space. Because it does take a lot to have that on space 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
That makes sense.
Well, we have, occasionally we have a Zoomer daughter, and today we're so honored. So I'm going to allow the mother to introduce the Zoomer daughter. So
yeah, thanks. So like I said before, this is super special because I thought, what perspective could we get from somebody who is 22? And although most of the time I was a stay-at-home mom, I was an ER nurse for 14 years and I was going through nursing school, and it was a little chaotic growing up. So it was always kind of shuffling a little bit. Who's going to pick them up? Who are they going to be with? And so I'm going to let her, Georgia Kay is my daughter, ask a question about your business and maybe give just a little bit of insight from her perspective on an experience of having many babysitters. Go easy on me, Georgia Kay. I did the best I could. So, all right, Georgia, do you have a question for Ayana?
Hi, Ayana. Thank you so much, first of all, for what you do, because I really do think there's a big need for this in leaving your kids with responsible people who also have a passion to make sure that your child's going to be well, if not better than before you left them. But my question for you is, what qualifies someone to be a sitter for itavi, and what's the process? I know that it's just in hotels right now, but if you were to do something like a Bambino, like an app kind of, where it takes a village, gets to take place in a city, it takes a village could be its own village in a city.
Yeah,
and you're hired.
No, I'm just saying.
She's an amazing babysitter. She can tell you about that.
You're hired in the executive team. You're great. You have vision, and I like that. So that's so
wonderful.
awesome.
We can exchange info.
And your question, Georgia. So with your mom's Georgia K, is that your?
I'm Julie. I'm Julie. This is my daughter, Georgia K. She just moved to LA. She's 22, and she's had a ride of people taking care of her. You know, I don't know who her favorite was, but
I liked that one time these people we made pranks.
Lovely.
Like Impractical Jokester? That
Yes,
kind of thing?
basically we would set up pranks for like my parents.
That's cute. Right. Sabotage them. Right. Right. I like that. So back to your question about how we vet. And that's a really good question. And that is part of our key process, right? Because we discuss this. How do you set a standard? How do you know who's trusted, who's not? And so our goal is always, I speak to families all the time. I wouldn't have them in my home. I wouldn't recommend them to you if I wouldn't have them in my home. So what does that look like? They have years experience in childcare being paid, not just, a niece watching your nieces or your nephews or your sister or your brother. That's great, but that doesn't tell me you've had enough experience, right? So a paid childcare professional experience for multiple years, CPR trained. We do emotional intelligence assessment. Thorough background checks, with the whole gamut to make sure that nothing is alerted. And then another key portion of that, there's two, I'm going to say, Georgia K, is ongoing training and onboarding training of our standards, our expectations. So you have a toolbox. You're already good. I can't give somebody empathy. I can't teach people empathy. They have to come to the table with that. But what I can do is give them an environment where they're safe, right? Because we have right now our childcare professional roster 100% women. We've had a few men work within. We have men on the executive team, but not in the field on the ground. We have, but we don't right now. I want to protect them and I want to provide mobility because that's always a challenge for people who are in this industry is the ability to evolve themselves, right? They have families. They want to be able to provide for their family. So we pay very competitively. We also, very key, provide all those materials, that programming. So when they go into the environment, they already have a foundation to do what they do best. They don't have to think twice about it. They don't have to say, oh my gosh, I don't have an emergency contact number. No, already provided. Oh my gosh, did this kid have allergies? And I don't have, no, already know that. So they're so empowered before they even show up that they can just be like, I'm here to do what I need to do at the highest level.
Yeah.
I'm safe. And I know the landscape. I know I'm going to be okay. So I can protect these children.
Yeah. Georgia K is nodding her head because she's in charge of a lot of children at a summer camp. And she's like, yes. And she's definitely,
Well, this is great. So you are primarily in Florida and Hawaii. What's the next step for itavi? What can we expect?
The next steps, and that's a great question, is we're looking at Arizona. So we have a few new territories in the pipeline. And, we're just, again, a 5-year mark in where we are and really have taken the time. I think there was one question, the intention behind it. I always felt like if the intention was proven out and we can prove sustainability, everything else, i.e. the money, the investment, because that's the next step for where we're at, will come. I see this, growing internationally. We have that ability. We know how to pack this up in a suitcase and unpack it wherever we go, right? We have our finger really dialed in the formula and the necessary steps to make it sustainable and successful where we are. And so we're really looking forward to that opportunity.
Well, that's great. Well, we wish all moms who...
I feel like you're going to take your grandkids
and the next thing,
do
this.
They'll be at the club.
This is great. Yeah. So where do we find you on social media, or where can parents, if they're looking to see if it's an itavi hotel on your website, where do we find you?
Absolutely. itavikids.com. We're also on social media, itavi kids, and LinkedIn, and we're hiring. We're really in a growth phase, which is super exciting, just based on, where we are and how well we have been received, not only by hotel partners, but repeat guests and them sharing with their village when you're going to Miami, Boca, Florida, please look up or use. And we're seeing that more and more. And it's really exciting. And we're so honored to be a part and just really thankful for the families that I always say that choose itavi to spend time with their families.
Well, that's
lovely.
This is great, and she did mention she's hiring.
I know.
There are worse places to live than Florida and Hawaii. Trust me, ladies.
That's right. That's right.
Make a note of that.
Amazing.
Well, thank you, Ayana, so much. We really enjoyed this, and you can find us. You can find her on social media. You can also find us on social media at Inside the Moms Club on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram,
all the
everywhere
things. All
you
the
can
things.
find social media. We are there. We want to thank our sponsors, New Calm, which is an app that you can use to sleep better, focus better. I mean, Julie and I, this is the secret to us.
That's the secret to our
staying
relationship.
Us roommates here when we're in California, we have to share a hotel room. You know, they need a mom's club kind of thing where we can, for moms,
that's
right, to relax and it's the spa. We'll go there
go.
after this is over with. So no, definitely pick up New Calm. And moms, if you put Moms Club in the code at checkout, you get 15% off every month of your subscription. It is well worth it. So definitely check out Moms Club or New Calm,
and check out Moms Club. Both,
absolutely. And we also want to thank Beverly Hills Lingerie. They have been a wonderful sponsor of us. They have provided gifts and things for some events that we have, because we have events, speaking of moms clubs, all over the country. We have chapters all over the country. Moms come together. They get to meet each other. They get to win cool stuff, like something from
They don't have to read a book
or
play mahjong to like have a mom.
No pickleball, mahjong. You can do that elsewhere, but bring your mahjong club. Just come on over, be part of the moms club, and we also can introduce or meet future Zoomer moms through our events.
We'd love to hear from everybody.
Yeah, we want everybody. If you know other moms who would love to be, if you want to be a Zoomer, get on our website, insidethemomsclub.com. You can find us there. You can apply to be a Zoomer mom, or come to our events and then recruit all your other fellow moms friends to be Zoomer moms, so that they too can come on and ask questions of our interesting and fun guests. So
that's right.
So I can't believe, Julie, every time we do this, wow.
I'm glowing because I haven't been here in a few months and been able to be on the show, and it just feels really, really good.
It feels good that you're back. Yes.
It always feels good to have my friends in as Zoomer moms who are great moms. And so, and to have my daughter. Wow. Yeah. Wow is all I can say.
Thank
I love you,
you, moms out there, for joining us. Remember our motto.
That's right.
It's key to everything. If you don't laugh sometimes, you are going to cry. So laugh, moms, have fun, and we'll see you next time inside the Moms Club.
Woo!